Grandmaster, we're not welcoming you to this lodge because you're a member of this lodge and we're honored by that. But what is important that we would like to get from you your insights, both from a historical standpoint and from futuring. So let me welcome you to this interview that John does so beautifully, and just simply start by saying, what induced you to become a Mason?
My first introduction to Freemasonry was through my brother-in-law, fishing and hunting buddy, and best friend. And I found it, I saw his ring, and I inquired about it. And he told me he joined the Masonic Lodge. I said, what is the emblem? He said, square and compasses. He didn't elaborate. And I thought, well, we were such good friends that surely, as much as he seems to appreciate it, he'll invite me. But this didn't happen. And as time went on, I was resented it a little bit initially, because I thought, golly, if it's that good, and surely he would invite me. But of course, then it got in the past, and and maybe a couple of years later, his wife and my wife took my children to the beach because they love the beach, and I don't care a thing about it. And his nickname is Buddy. So Buddy said to me, well, while they're going to the beach, the weekend we'll go to the lake. We'll take my old Pinyan and go to the lake. So we went down to Fontana and fished around for a time, and during the afternoon, on Sunday afternoon there, I asked him, I said, Buddy, what is this stuff about Masonry? He said, what do you mean, what is this stuff about Masonry? I said, well, you wearing that ring, I said, I know you apparently enjoy it. He said, are you interested in it? I said, yes, I am. I'd like to join. He said, well, you just said the magic word. I said, I'll get you a petition. And he did. And in the process of things, I had to get a waiver from Hominy Lodge because he was a member of Mount Hermon, and I was involved with, worked in the city of Asheville, and my boss was a member of Mount Hermon, which I did not know at the time. And we had to get the waiver from Hominy Lodge so I could join Mount Hermon. And it took a little extra time, and I became a little antsy about it. And then he told me I was elected, and that he told me that one of my neighbors, in fact, our property is joined at the back, a fellow named Perry Self. He said, Perry Self showed up at the lodge and wondered if you didn't know you had a lodge out there next to your house. And I said, well, no, I don't know anything about it. So I was, of course, in due time elected and went through the catechisms, and they had a marvelous coach, a fellow named Jim Jolly. And Jim was he was a terrific man. He showed up when we'd have an appointment for coaching, Jim would, and I would meet down at the temple. And Jim always had a tie on, and crisp and clean, and just so well dressed. And I knew he worked at Harry's Motor Inn. And Harry was a member of our lodge, Harry Bloomberg, and and I thought that Jim was probably a partner in the business or anything. The way his mannerism and the way he carried himself and the way he dressed and everything, but he was an upholsterer. But he thought enough of his Freemasonry that he wore a tie down to the lodge to coach a candidate. And I'm still impressed. But it became a way of life for me, and went through the chairs. In those days, we had people waiting in line for a chance to go through the chairs. And so I was a year or so later, and it came my place. I followed a fellow named Roy McDowell into the line at Mount Hermon, and it was, of course, a natural progression from there on. We had a Tyler and a little guy named Henry Babb, and it seemed to me that they told me that Henry was a paid Tyler, that the lodge actually paid him to come down and set it up, and he had everything arranged for everybody when you came in, and Henry always, he shook hands with every member, and he kept the records and kept the cards and kept the visitors straight and all of that stuff. And we had a secretary named Reuben Barnett's, marvelous man, who kept us all straight, and he managed everything. He was a certified lecturer, and he knew everything. And in fact, Reuben. I think I was the last man that Reuben, in his own inimitable way, did the apron lecture for. But then over the years, the progression and I followed a group of terrific men through the lodge. We didn't have any different or notable or outstanding things as routine lodge work, which everybody enjoyed. And eventually in 1969, I was elected master of Mount Hermon. And I don't recall the membership at the time I was elected, but the time I joined Mount Hermon, I believe the membership was over 600.
Wow.
And during the year when I was master, I believe I did 13 funerals. It was an old lodge.
Your best friend, as you described him, who got a petition for you, did not realize he was recruiting a future Grand Master. So would you tell us a little bit about your year as Grand Master of the Freemasonry of North Carolina?
I'm trying to think of a high point. it was all a high point. There was nothing spectacular. My predecessors had gone through some trying times in the 2 or 3 years before I was elected, and as I often did, half-jokingly compliment them and thank them for smoothing the road for me, which they did.
Grandmaster, during your year, didn't you have a theme or a saying that was kind of your theme song for the year?
Contemplating coming up for Grandmaster, each Grandmaster has the same I say problem, it's not a problem, but the same requirement that they come up with their idea, some sort of a motto. Mine, Blue Lodge Masonry, pure and simple. I couldn't think of a more appropriate and one that nobody had used before, because after all, Blue Lodge Masonry is the Grand Lodge. Without Blue Lodge Masonry, there is no Grand Lodge. That's all for naught. And the theme was well received. At first, there was some idea among the rites that hey, he's opposing York or Scottish Rite, which was not the case at all, because they also feed off the Blue Lodge and live off the Blue Lodge, and of necessity have to support the Blue Lodge, but in order to stay alive themselves. The theme was well received, and our assistant to the Grand Secretary was nicknamed Blimpus. He tried it in the unpronounceable word, but when we had Grand Lodge at the close of my year, Pete had a banner made. We had it in the old auditorium there in Raleigh. He had a banner made that was some 2 or 3 feet high and stretched all the way across the front of the auditorium with BLMPAS on it. Pete was very complimentary about it. He commented that it was a theme that was so obvious that it's amazing that nobody had thought of it before. That it was so obvious and so useful and so necessary. And so I was quite proud of that. He even used that in the speech he made at the Grandmaster's dinner that they had for me.
Have you seen that recently in print?
Have I seen it in print?
Did you get it in a certificate?
Oh, I did. I have that in a marvelously well framed print with the honorary membership of Black Mountain Lodge, the lodge that I feel most comfortable in. In fact, even the acoustics are such that with my hearing aids, I can understand every word that's said. And I'm so delighted with the manner that it was presented, and with the certificate itself. It had the picture of the officers of Black Mountain Lodge at the top, as is appropriate, and had the symbol BLMPAS in the middle, framed and matted in such a beautiful combination of wood and colors, and at the bottom the honorary certificate of membership in Black Mountain 663. It's quite an honor to have that, and to have it sitting on the mantle in the den at my house.
we certainly are appreciative of your being an honorary member of this lodge, because it seems in many ways we embody the thing that you talked about when you were Grand Master. As a follow-up to that, how do you see the future of Freemasonry? You can start or stop wherever you choose, universally or in North Carolina or in Western North Carolina. How do you view Freemasonry for the future?
Brother Hank, we could take a pessimistic view because of our decline in membership over the recent years, but I don't. I'm very optimistic about the future of Freemasonry. When I was Grand Master, Worshipful Brother Pete Dudley, the Grand Secretary, and I had many conversations. And at the time I was Grand Master, we had 73,000 plus members in North Carolina. And Pete, I recall him saying, we probably have about 35,000 Masons who are worthy of the name. The rest of them, there's probably half of them that are just dues payers that keep it up for it's not that they dislike it or are unhappy with it. They wouldn't keep their dues paid if they were unhappy with it, but they're just not interested enough to work to perpetuate it. I'm optimistic. Our numbers may go down some, but it'll be back. The message is too good. One of my favorite Masonic stories, and you have heard it, I think, John has, is in, I believe it was in 1985 when I was Grand Master. I was in the lodge at Morganton, North Carolina, and Brother Sam Irvin, Senator Sam's grandson, was being raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason. And they had the degree on Saturday morning. And I sat on the opposite side of the lodge from Brother Sam. He was in declining years then, as I now am. And I watched him. And from time to time, as old men are wont to do, he would wipe his head like he was wiping away perspiration and wiping away the cobwebs or something. And but when his grandson was raised, and they asked Brother Sam if he had a word for us, Brother Sam stood up. Excuse me. And in a clear, strong voice, he said, "Yes, I do." And I don't remember what else he said. He probably thanked the lodge and so forth for the services for his grandson. But he said this. He said, "Freemasonry is the single greatest force for good abroad in the world today."
That kind of caps the stack, doesn't it?
I'll never forget that. Martha and I followed my brother-in-law, who aroused my first interest in Freemasonry, and they were active in the Order of the Eastern Star. So shortly thereafter, after I became a member of the Masonic Lodge, Martha and I joined the Esther Chapter Order of the Eastern Star. And that was quite an experience. Jokingly, the night we were initiated, my brother-in-law, my best friend, he came up and we were leaving, he said, "Well, how are you, Sister Hyatt?" Well, we enjoyed the Eastern Star very much. Martha, more than me, she did all of the offices and served as worthy matron. She served as worthy matron when I was involved with Grand Lodge, and a fellow named George Stewart, fine man, was her worthy patron. George died, and she was accompanied through the rest of the year by Marvin Wilson, a fellow who was quite active in the Grand Lodge. And then after my year as Grand Master and my involvement with the Grand Lodge, Martha was elected again, and Martha as worthy matron of Esther Chapter, and I was elected as worthy patron, and it was our pleasure to serve in the offices together, which we enjoyed very much, and which she enjoyed, and the influence of her sister and the sibling thing that she had to get everything precise and correct. And we were loyal members and served as best we could in Esther Chapter until Esther declined to the point where I had to consolidate with Biltmore Lodge, of which we are now members and which we enjoy very much. We have two daughters, Karen and Norma, and they were both Rainbow Girls, and they enjoyed the work tremendously. Both served as worthy advisor after going through the process of the chairs, and it was wonderful training for them, and they will tell you today that they were just so happy that they had the opportunity to serve. But Freemasonry for me, has been a way of life. It's been a marvelous experience. I have had many high points and a few severe disappointments, because we are all human and we all make mistakes. And hopefully, in the Masonic tradition, we can forgive and forget.
Well, Grand Master, we appreciate your coming and making the effort to be interviewed. As I said in the beginning, we feel that you are a part of us, so you're not a guest. You're a part of our tradition and our history. I think you have left a mark on Freemasonry in North Carolina, and certainly in this lodge. And the only thing that I'll kind of say a little bit tongue-in-cheek, I want to invite you in June of 2016 to be in the lodge, because that's a year that I hit 60 years as a Mason. So join me with a promise to be here, and we'll celebrate lots of Masonry together. Thank you again for your interview, and for your life, and for your life as a Freemason.
Well, Brother Hank, it's an honor to be here, an honor to talk with you, and to be a member of Black Mountain Lodge, as it is an honor to be a Mason, which is our communal tie. And on 2016, I promise you, if my toes are not turned up, I will be here with you. And it'd be my honor to celebrate your 60th year in this great fraternity.